Well, it's great to get to talk to you guys. Great to meet you guys virtually. I have a memory of going to Winter Jam back in like 2016 or something, and y'all finished out the night, and it was an amazing set. So that's like a core memory for core live music memory for teenage Darius. So
I love
Oh, I
it.
love
I
that.
love
That's
that.
awesome. I love it.
yeah. All right, well, y'all mentioned this already, so we'll dive in here. Y'all debuted this song live at Holy Smoke during Taylor Hill's set, which is awesome and one of a few very exciting, unexpected guest appearances. How did that feel for you guys, and how did that go?
What was fascinating, right? I mean, you were there yourself. So it was at Rocket Town in Nashville, Tennessee, which is our American hometown. Which, fun fact, is where I go to church on Sunday. It gets
Wow.
converted into a church. This club in downtown, and so it was. Man, it was very fresh, I'll say, because you may or may not know we haven't really performed to speak of and toured at all this year. This was the first time since Luke and I formed as a band about 12 years ago that we took some time to recalibrate, be with family, recreate, and live a little. And so just to step back on stage alone was its own sort of fresh novelty. And then to step on stage for such a cool, it's a hip hop festival, right? In essence, and just people that had come in. Most of the audience, I remember hearing statistically, most of the audience had come in from about, within a 500-mile radius, and so lots of passion in the room. And then to present it with Taylor Hill, who's both a writer and a feature on World on Fire with us, it was kind of a moment that we'll not forget. And it felt really exciting, man, to present the song for the first time in a live format. Because you can always get a taste when you perform a song live if it resonates. And it really felt like it was resonant in the room. And so now we're excited to put it, man, on the airwaves and on Spotify and Apple Music and all the rest of it.
Yeah. Anything to add, Luke?
Oh man, no, I think that was great.
All right. So this is for Rapzilla, which is a
Yeah.
primarily a Christian hip hop publication. And so y'all did that debut at Holy Smoke, a Christian hip hop
Yeah.
festival. Y'all's most recent release was a collaboration with Stephen Malcolm and KB, and y'all have done
Yeah.
stuff with like Messengers and Oh God Forgive
Yeah.
Us, going all the way back. So I gotta ask, like, what does Christian hip hop mean to you? What draws you to collab with these artists? Are y'all like secretly big hip hop heads?
I've
One of
never
the things
heard
I
that
love,
terminology.
yes,
Hip
I
hop
like hip hop
heads.
heads.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's good.
One of the things that I've always loved about Christian hip hop is you have a little bit more real estate in your words and your in the songs to be able to further articulate what the poet is really trying to say. And I think that there's always been a reckless beauty in how they approach. They're not scared. You know what I'm saying? They're not intimidated. And so I think for both Joel from afar, when it comes to the Lecrae's and the KB's, the Stephen Malcolms, and Andy Mineo going back, and all of these things, they've all become kind of our friends. And then we've created together. It is not a genre of music that I know the same way as I do others, but to be able to enjoy it. Obviously, I've got kids, and we listen to our fair share. It's an art form that I love to, and I think we love to collaborate with, because once again, there's ways and mechanisms and skills and craftings of how they do things that we do not know how to do, nor have the ability to do. And when you do merge those things, something really special takes place. And so I have so much respect, and even being able to play Holy Smoke for a little bit to see the intentionality and the brilliance of what they do and what all of that the genre does. I have tremendous respect for.
Awesome. So y'all mentioned that y'all are kind of coming back after a bit of a hiatus. So how did that time away inform this upcoming music, single or anything else that you've got in the works?
Really, from the beginning, Darius, you create your first album and you're like, man, I just hope we can do another one. And then that show that you were at, 2016, was kind of the Run Wild, Live Free, Love Strong era, which was Messengers with Lecrae as well. And we were just thrilled to be traveling. You know, you get to this point in the journey, and I think we owe it to our families, to the audience, and to God to sort of pour in so that you can pour out. There does come a point where you're pushing so much information and so much inspiration, hopefully, out into the world that if you're not careful, and Jesus Christ modeled this really well, he just would disappear at points. You know, he'd go away on his own. If you don't do that bit, if you don't go away for a bit, the danger is that you show up and you have nothing to offer. And it's hard to put a price tag on a year of not touring, but I will say, but with World on Fire and some of this other mysterious music that we can't discuss yet, man, we're deeply proud of it. And I have a suspicion that without the environment of being at home and having weekends, like you guys shut down, the whole world shut down on the weekend, and we're usually out touring on the weekend, just to have weekends at home and to be with those we love and just to go into the studio each day and just create a bit more. I think it's been profound to the point that we have labeled this next era of the band for King and Country 2.0, because it feels like we've been revitalized, and we're not coming into this with this fear of, I don't know if we're going to be able to make any more music again. We're coming in with confidence and boldness that we maybe have never had to date as a band.
Amazing. So a specific question about this song, Nicole was kind enough to give me an early listen of it. And by the way, fantastic single. I'm excited for everybody else to get to hear it. But one thing that I was thinking about is, I don't know if y'all are familiar with King's Kaleidoscope and Chad Garner. And I heard a podcast where he was talking about doing things that are like facially corny, you know, in their self-titled album that came out a year or two ago.
Yeah.
And like there's a song that's like 1, 2, 3, and then there's a song called All the Emotions. And it's kind of intentionally like leaning into like things that they feel like they can't do. Anyway, so that came to mind because y'all used This Little Light of Mine on the bridge, not because it was corny, right? The execution was not corny at all. But if you told somebody it's got this little light of mine in it, they're going to be like, that sounds really corny.
All your listeners right now are going, and readers are going, oh, this is a bad idea. Yeah.
Right. So the execution is great, but like, how did y'all get that idea and then decide to run with it and actually go through with it?
That is a great question, by the way. So we were working on this song. We were changing keys. We were trying to figure out a way if every single chorus could change to a different key. We were doing all this crazy stuff. But we started at, and this is kind of our process. The King and Country is built on, at some level, like we will try every idea to come back to what feels the most authentic, most congruent, and hopefully the truest version of itself. And we had most of the song, ready. I want to set my world on fire. We had all these things. But one day I came into the studio and I just said, I think that this bridge needs to color that phrase a little bit more. Like, what does it mean to like set my world on fire? And so we were talking about well, what would we do for the bridge? And I said, well, what's funny is this little light of mine actually is the perfect description of what we're talking about in the song. And so that led, one thing to another as far as just coming up with, obviously not using that melody exactly, but because I think the ultimate question that we should be asking ourselves is, when we're kids, we're taught that song, This Little Light of Mine. And it's really cute because the people that are singing the song are small, they're young, and in theory, they're little. And so when you talk about the flame of your heart, your soul, it's little because they're little. But if you were to ask yourself, and we're to change, do we actually change the lyrics as we've gotten older? Are we actually singing this little light of mine, I'm going to let it shine? Or is it actually this massive burning flame that is my soul? I'm going to let it shine. And my hope is that we can say that's the condition of my heart. That's the condition of my soul. And if that's the case, then let's put it on display. Let's put it on display for other people to see. And if it's not, and you say, I think my soul's a flicker, then I think that the challenge is well, go give it some fuel, go build it up, go make it, go set it on fire. And that's essentially what, World on Fire is talking about.
I will say though, Darius, just to fill in the blank there, you mentioned cheesy. We did call Taylor Hill, who obviously features on this, and we wrote with him. We said, hey man, what do you think about this? And we sung him a melody, and he was like, I'm not sure. And then he literally was like, what about this little light of mine? I'm going to let. And it was just like this razor thin line between sort of brilliance and stupid. And it was like, all of a sudden, it became something really special. So you got to stay open. You got to stay open to embrace the cheese sometimes.
I love it. I love it. Well, we got the 2-minute warning during the answer to that question. So last question for you guys. What's the number one thing that you want people who read this interview to know or remember? And then if there's anything y'all want to plug besides the single that's coming up for you guys, go ahead and drop it in.
For sure. Well, in the name of plugging, if you want to come to a Christmas event, we'll be around this Christmas. If you want to find out what happened after Unsung Hero, the movie, which chronicles our parents' migration and our sisters' launch into Christian gospel music. We're releasing a documentary through Amazon on November 23rd called No Turning Back that really is the formation of For King Country. And then finally, as far as what we want people to take away, man, music is the soundtrack to people's lives. It's the thing that you get in your car after a hard day and you pull off to the side of the road and start weeping because that song met you right where you were. Or it's that song that when you don't think you can run any further, literally or proverbially, that spurs you on that run. And this has been a very dynamic year for Luke and me, there's no doubt. But our hope is that we can be the soundtrack to people's life, and that this song in particular will be one that when the world does feel like it's on fire in sort of a chaos type way, that we can harness that fire in ourselves under God and turn it into something really profound where people can see light in us. There's all these messages going on about, political messages and religious messages and racial messages and all the rest of it. What if, though, our lives could just be the great example of love and joy and peace and patience and passion, And so that's our hope with the song, man. And we're grateful for you giving us a platform and a voice to share it with your audience. And as we say, more to come. But for the moment, let's let our little light, or as Luke said, our burning flame shine.